it's UFC London this weekend, and I personally think there's a lot of fights on the card where certain fighters need to win. They cannot lose, and if they lose, their career is in a bit of a weird situation. So I've obviously done a video on Leon Edwards. He's like the main person out of that category on this card, because if he loses, I'm not sure what the UFC do. I think they're just going to feed him to the wolves so all the younger guys can just make a name off beating the former champion. So I am going to go through a couple more people, because there's about 4 on this card who I'm like not worried for if they lose, but like I don't know where they go if they lose this fight. And the first one is obviously Jan Blachowicz in the co-main event. Me personally, I think Jan Blachowicz is going to win. I think he's going to remind everyone why he's won the belt, why he went to a split decision with a draw with Ankalaev, who's the champion, who just beat one of the most dominant champions of all time. And I personally thought he beat Ankalaev, and I think he's really going to show the level. But if he doesn't, I think it's time. It depends how the loss is. If he gets knocked out in 6 seconds like Alonzo Menifield does, that's just unlucky. Do you know what I mean? Like, but if you watch him get destroyed, I think it's time for him to hang up his boots. I'm a huge advocate in fighters not being stupid and going on a 6-fight losing streak. Tony Ferguson, perfect example. I don't want to see some of the best fighters of all time. Jan Blachowicz is one of the best fighters of all time. Beat Luke Rockhold, stopped Luke Rockhold's light heavyweight career, stopped Adesanya's double champion dream when Adesanya was at his peak. Draw with Ankalaev, won the belt. Like, he has a great career, absolute great career. I don't want to see him go on a 4-fight losing streak. I don't. No one else does. I like Jan Blachowicz. Everyone likes him. He's dead fun. He's a fun fighter to watch. But he's had 2 years off with surgeries. 2 years is a long time, especially when you're 42. If you're 28 to 30, a little bit different. Your body's still a lot healthier. When you're past 40, that's different. Shoulder surgery as well. Like, that's not a good surgery to have. You need your shoulders for everything. To wrestle, to do jiu-jitsu, to throw a punch, to block a punch. Like, you need it for everything. So I am concerned for how Jan Blachowicz is going to look. I personally do think he is going to win, and I know I do say this about certain people, and every single person I've said this about, they've won. So Jan Blachowicz is the underdog, and if you're a betting man, you'd bet on Jan Blachowicz, and I am, so I will be betting on Jan Blachowicz. But I do think he's going to win. Carlos Ulberg, he looked a little bit shaky in the Ozdemir fight. It was a very close fight, and I can't remember the name. I'll type it in here. But he fought someone, and they were just chopping up his leg, and my mind's gone blank. But I'll write it here. And Jan Blachowicz, obviously I'm saying how good his career is. We know how powerful he is. He's literally got the name Polish Power. So if he wins this fight, I'd love to see him fight Yuri Prochazka in like Warsaw or Prague, obviously Czech Republic and Poland, where they're both from. That'd be amazing. Amazing for European fight fans, and it'd be amazing headliner of that card. Moving on to the next fighter, Molly McCann. And Molly McCann's in a weird situation, because obviously she's from Liverpool, where I'm from, and she does a lot for Liverpool as a city, especially women's MMA in the city. So I would like to see her win, because it's better for the city the better she gets. It's better for all the women, or all the young girls who want to be fighters when they're older, seeing a role model, Molly McCann, winning fights in the UFC. She's been in the UFC for quite a while now, but she's had like a bit of an iffy record. She's obviously got the famous spinning back elbow knockouts twice, which is crazy. But she's dead fun to watch, and she's dead fun on the mic, obviously. It's hard, because her last fight, it was pretty bad of a beating, but she stayed in and she showed heart. This weekend now, I'm worried for her for this fight, because she's obviously fighting a good grappler who's, I think she's got like 6 wins by sub. She looked really dominant in the Contender Series fight, and it's a short notice replacement. She was fighting a much lesser opponent. And then now she's being replaced with an 11-1 women's MMA fighter that's a good record. And especially when half of them are by sub, it's worrying because Molly McCann's obviously, it's the grappling that lets her down. She's got great boxing. And don't get me wrong, kick grappling's not terrible. But for some reason, I feel like she does get out-grappled a lot in her fights. And the UFC London are going to be all on her back. Everyone's going to love her. Big cheer when she comes out. Hopefully she comes out to Jamie Webster like she always does. Everyone loves it. And I think she definitely has a chance of winning. This is the exact same as what I was saying about the Leon Edwards-Sean Brady fight. In my opinion, this is a 60-40 matchup. 60% I think Molly McCann's going to win. 40% I think she's going to lose. So I am going to go Molly McCann by decision. I am. Because coming off the Contender Series, you are good, but you're obviously amazing, but to even get to the UFC, but we haven't seen you tested loads. Molly McCann's got that experience, and I think in her mind she'll know she cannot lose this fight. She's getting older too, don't get me wrong, she's got loads of stuff in the city where even if she did retire, she'd make loads of money. She's got a cafe, she's got loads of other stuff. She's dead famous online. So let me know what you think. Do you think Molly McCann is going to win? I personally, it's hard. I'm probably not even 60-40, I'm probably 50-50 to be honest, but maybe for bias to the city, I am going to go Molly McCann to win. Moving on to the next fight who I think needs to win, it's Kevin Holland. And Kevin Holland, again, like the other two, he's in a weird situation where, like, if he loses, it's not like, oh, Kevin Holland needs to retire. If he loses, people are going to start just buzzing off him, thinking he's hilarious, because, like, it's already out there. Like, famous fighters are saying that they think he doesn't care about losing. How can you not care about losing? I understand he probably makes a lot of money. He has a really good paycheck. He's probably 150 to show, 150 to win, maybe even more. So he's fighting so regularly. I seen a stat that Gunnar Nelson has had 4 fights, and in that time, in Gunnar Nelson's last 4 fights, Kevin Holland's had 22. Are you kidding me? What do you mean 22 compared to 4? Gunnar Nelson, though, you know that man's not injured. He's at his full capability, and he's ready to fight if he's fighting. He only fights once a year on the UFC London. If that, to be honest, might not even be once a year. It's like once every 2 years, probably, when you look at his last 4 fights. But his grappling is obviously unbelievable. But he seems more of like a jiu-jitsu grappler, where Kevin Holland's last opponent, Reinier de Ridder, he's a very good MMA grappler. And he made a show of Kevin Holland in that last fight. Took him down instantly, got him to the back, got the choke. What's Gunnar Nelson best at? Getting a rear naked choke. What did Kevin Holland just get up by? A rear naked choke. So it is worrying. It is worrying for Kevin Holland, because after this fight, if he loses this fight, obviously he's a huge name, everyone knows him. But I don't even think he'll fight someone that everyone knows. I think he'll then have to fight an up and comer and prove himself, because he obviously would have lost to Dolidze, lost to Reinier de Ridder, and now lost to Gunnar Nelson. There's an obvious gap in his game, which is grappling, and it's weird because he has subs on his record. He's obviously subbed Michael Chiesa, he subbed Oleg Jacek, and he is a good fighter, but it's just this bouncing between weights. Lost to MVP too, so if he loses this fight, I think he's on a 4-fight losing streak, and that's not good for anyone. So I do think Kevin Holland has a real easy chance to knock out Gunnar Nelson. Gunnar Nelson keeps his chin up, he's got that karate style, he's not that good on the feet too. So Kevin Holland has a real easy chance of knocking him out, especially in that first round. But Gunnar Nelson has a real easy chance of taking him down, working the jits. And I personally thought, when I'd look at the odds, that Kevin Holland would be like a wild favourite. Because when I first, even before I was even doing research into the fight, and watching other people's fight, just thinking back at all their fights, I think, oh, Kevin Holland's going to school him on the feet. But then you watch Kevin Holland's fight, and that thing about him giving up on the ground, I never want to believe that a UFC fighter who's getting paid so much money. And actually, if you don't win, you lose loads of money too. I could never imagine someone giving up. So I can't see that him giving up. I see it as maybe like a skill gap. Maybe he's not actually that good on the ground, or maybe doesn't train enough on the ground. And Gunnar Nelson's real high level on the ground, so there's an obvious weakness that you would work on. He's not even that old too, Kevin Holland. So I am going to go Kevin Holland to win by knockout. I do think he'll win by knockout. I think he'll play up to the crowd. The crowd will be loving it. And if he gets a knockout, the crowd will go crazy. So I think he'll like that. He'll actually love that. So I am going to go Kevin Holland by knockout. Probably early too, round 1 or 2. But that doesn't mean I can't see Gunnar Nelson choking him out. I can see Gunnar Nelson just destroying him in the jiu-jitsu as well. But I am going to predict Kevin Holland by knockout. And the last person I think who needs to win is Chris Leroy Duncan. And Duncan, he's a bit of a weird situation because when he got signed to the UFC, everyone in the UK, including myself and probably him and his team, had real high expectations for him. And his debut was kind of telling. He obviously won by an injury instantly to his opponent, and it was a bit of a weird debut, and everyone was super hyped, and then it kind of made it a bit weird, and I don't know, it kind of numbed the hype a bit because it was such a weird fight where the fellows got injured instantly. It's a win on the record anyway. But his next fight, he then fights on Petrosian, who he loses to, and looking back, that has not aged well. That fight, obviously getting knocked out by Sharon Buller. Obviously just got cut recently for losing to Bruno Ferreira. And then he's obviously got 2 wins and then lost to Gregory Rodriguez. Gregory Rodriguez is really good, but he did just get, not destroyed by Cannonier, but he got shown a bit of a level by Cannonier. He showed, if you can't get me out in the first round, I'm going to destroy you. So it's not necessarily a bad thing to lose to Gregory Rodriguez, especially in the jiu-jitsu department, because he's one of, if not the best grappler, like straight jiu-jitsu fighter in the middleweight division. Chris Leroy Duncan, though, he's fighting Pulev, who's coming off the Contender Series, and Duncan's a huge favourite. I think he's the biggest favourite on the whole card. I do think he's going to win. I think he'll either win by knockout or decision. And I think he will really convincingly win, because Pulev, he looks pretty good, but Chris Leroy Duncan does look a lot better. He's obviously got that experience. He's in London. Everyone will be supporting him, and I am excited for it. I'm excited to see what Leroy Duncan can do. If he loses this fight though, I think that's it. He'll always just be the lower to middle of the rankings middleweight. Hopefully, I really hope not. I like seeing English fighters do really well. I want to see the country as a whole promote their fighters so much and get behind their fighters so much. So I am going to go Chris Leroy Duncan to win. And I do think he will too. I think this one is quite a straightforward win for him. I think his striking's too good for Pulev, and I think he's going to show the level, especially with the leg kicks. And if he does win, we can start then pushing him up the rankings, but he'll still need a good couple of wins to even get to the top 10, because he's obviously lost to Gregory Rodriguez, who's low down in the rankings, just lost to Cannonier. So you'll probably have to have another fight outside the rankings and then maybe fight someone in the rankings. Let me know what you think. Do you think out of them 4 fighters, who do you think needs to win the most and who do you think will win? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you later.